people. All right, our speaker is Craig Foster, who is the founder and leader of Job Seekers Network. And Job Seekers Network, by the way, is celebrating, this is their 10th year. So they've been around a long time, so it's a very good year. And he's going to be talking about what successful job seekers do, how to secure your new opportunity 1 month faster at least than it would have taken you without this great advice. He is the, Job Seekers Network is celebrating its 10th year, I just told him that. It has grown from a group of 20 people gathered around the table to a citywide nonprofit serving 900 job seekers annually. Their Monday morning programs include a keynote speaker and training on branding, resumes, interviewing, mock interviews, LinkedIn profile reviews, networking, negotiating, and elevator pitch. They offer additional programs helping people understand their career direction, fit, and calling. He has a passion for helping job seekers find better fitting jobs faster, has helped and taught job seekers on and off for the last 25 years. Prior to Job Seekers Network, he was a finance executive at Dell. He was a founding board member of the Austin Disaster Relief Network, has served on 2 other nonprofit boards. He has his BBA and MBA from the University of Texas at Austin. He and his wife, Debbie, have 2 adult kids, 1 granddaughter. His main hobbies are tennis and helping job seekers. Craig Foster.
Thank you, Kathy. I met Kathy in the early 2000s, probably 2001, 2002, and she was already doing Launchpad. So thank you, Kathy, for... And her secret hobby is helping job seekers, too. So we share that. I don't know if she's a tennis player or not.
I am not. I'm a tennis watcher.
She's a tennis watcher. So, I've been doing this a long time like Kathy, even starting in the early 90s. I ran a job club in Dallas. And so I've seen a ton of job seekers over the years. And so I kind of ran across this article and have kind of put together this pitch to kind of share some of the best of that with you today. And I don't mind you raising your hand and taking questions throughout the presentation. So you don't have to wait to the end to do that. I've got to start with some do's and don'ts. And the first one is around social media. This one really can tell your age too. If you're not active in social media, it's going to be obvious maybe that you're an older worker, and so you need to fight that with being active on social media. 95% of recruiters are using social media now to look at you, to find you, to vet you. They vet you on Facebook, Twitter, and so it's good for you to be active, and it's also good for you to Google yourself every now and then to see what actually is showing up when you're Googled. And you need to actively be promoting, talking about white papers if you're more technical industry, or responding to people's comments. But set up a routine. Go in there, invite new people, join new groups, get active on those discussion boards to really show your presence. Obviously, a don't is focus on job boards. You know that 80% of jobs are gotten through networking, and so focusing solely or mostly on the job boards is not great. It's great to spend 5 or 10% of your time. I've got job seekers every month that come in and say, I got a job because I posted my resume out there. But don't let that be the main activity. Don't feel like you're making progress in your job search if you're just posting things. That's the other downside. I mean, Kathy and I have probably had the same experience where a person comes to us 6 months into their job search, first time to the job club, and they say, I've been posting 100, 150, 200 resumes, and I'm just hearing nothing. And we're not in shock because we know that networking is the way that people get jobs. And then hide gaps. This job search is tough. Even though we are in a time when it's kind of a job seeker's market, it's hard to find a job. They are still being very selective on who they want. And so it's very important that you try to volunteer during this time. And that's why the Leap to Success program is a great program for you to be part of so that you can show progress in your field of work, helping a nonprofit. We volunteer at a food bank, and we had a lady go over there and volunteer, and she kind of worked all day next to this lady, and at the end of the day, they kind of just got to the small talk and said, well, what do you do during the week, or what do you do outside of this? Well, I'm stay-at-home mom. My husband is president of this local company here. And she goes, well, that's one of my target companies I've got to interview next week. And so that lady had an automatic introduction to the president of that company because she got out of the house. Good things happen when you get out of the house and you get volunteering, and especially when you're able to do that. There's stuff you can be doing for Launchpad, other nonprofits. Pick your favorite ministry or nonprofit and dig in there and show that on your resume as a way of how you filled the gap. Don't be passive job seeker. It was a startling statistic that said, HR managers took of job seekers, that said the typical job seeker spend 5 hours or less on their job search. Okay, so maybe you look back at this past week or a week ago. Were you cleaning out that closet? Were you painting that bedroom? Were you scurrying the kids around all week? And how much really active time did you have on your job search? And so you've got to treat this as if you're running your own company. That job search is your full-time job. And you've got to block out the time. You've got to get some of that accountability. You've got that boss normally provides accountability. When you lose that boss, you've got to get that accountability somewhere else to keep you on track, to be a sounding board. And obviously, get a solid game plan of how you're going to approach things. Sometimes that's called a marketing plan. And then your brand as well. And then don't rely on recruiters finding you. They will find you if you're active on social media and LinkedIn particularly, and use those keywords. Make sure your LinkedIn profile repeats keywords, and towards obviously the top is the prime real estate that the search engine for LinkedIn kind of uses to match people with the job searches that recruiters do. So make sure that you're using those and listing those keywords up there towards the top of your LinkedIn profile, and so they will find you. Austin Business Journal has a great listing of not only staffing companies but executive recruiting firms, and they'll also mention the niche that the recruiters are in, and that's in the Austin Business Journal Book of Lists. And we've got one on Monday morning if you need to take a look at that. Your library should have a listing as well. So that's the other thing people call me and say, hey, do you have a recruiter you recommend? And we do, but it depends on your niche. And so there's just too many recruiters who are in specialized niches, and so you need to find one that kind of fits you. Being a generalist and shotgunning your resume, we've talked about that. The key there is for you to know yourself and for you to be on top of who you are, what you can offer, because just thinking that you're going to put your resume out there, and sometimes a lot of resumes I see are not clear about who you are and what you can do, the value that you have to offer, and the more that you can build we're going to talk about this more in a minute, the more you can understand yourself, what you have to offer companies, the value you have, the more confidence you get. And the job search that I've seen, it's all about confidence. What is it that's going to give you confidence when you get in that interview, when you get, when you're, just even networking is pretty critical. It used to be that your expertise and your qualifications were enough to get you a job, but nowadays they're not. People are too discerning and too specific on what they're looking for. And so your personal brand, your personal attributes, your passions, your strengths, your talents and values. At Job Seekers Network, we tell you that you're a masterpiece. You are unique. God gave you certain skills and abilities and passions and purpose that He didn't give anybody else. And so you need to get in touch with what those are, and that's your brand, and that's what you need to communicate. Don't be that generic job seeker who tries to just answer the questions like they do on the internet and give the answer that every other job seekers give. You need to really personalize your answers and be your authentic self in the interview process and in the job search process. Be your authentic self. If they don't, when you find that match, it's going to be beautiful for you. Just like a masterpiece is. It's beautiful to look at, and they're going to recognize and use all those qualities, and that fit is going to feel so much better for you, and you're going to stay in the job much longer. So what do you think the number one job search readiness factor is? What do you think the number one job search readiness factor is? Confidence, yeah. Kind of got it down there at the bottom as a teaser, but again, a lot of us think that if we get our resume in shape, our LinkedIn, our elevator pitch, but this book, the 20-minute networking meeting, and I had a job seeker recommend it to me. If you haven't seen it, it's a good little book on how to do maybe those informational meetings, informational interviews that you've heard about. But he says the number one readiness factor is your psychological state. The number one readiness factor is your psychological state. He tells a story about a guy he met with, and Pete was a job-seeking, he was in the IT industry, and early weeks he noticed in retrospect that he had felt and acted angry in some of his networking situations due to losing his job. Though he may have had every right to feel angry about his situation, he made the mistake of taking that attitude into his meetings. What he found was that this affected his future efforts. While his contacts and prior job got him in the door initially, he noticed that the networking seemed to stop there. This, he came to realize, was due to his attitude. Pete isn't a bad guy, but he wasn't ready to network yet. Consequently, people took his attitude as a sign and weren't willing to risk their reputation by sending him valuable people in their networks. And so you may not know it, but, and I've seen it, you can come across as desperate, as depressed, as angry. And so, that's the sort of thing that's not going to go over well in interview or networking. And so your psychological readiness and your confidence is what you need to work on. So otherwise you can sabotage. So the way to counterpunch that, you got punched in the gut when you got let go, and maybe it's been a long time for you. The counterpunch is to know yourself more. And so I want us to do a little exercise here. You can answer any of these questions, but everybody take out a piece of paper and a pen. And so think back in your work life. What got you the most, or your smartphone, right? Kathy picked up her smartphone. She's making some notes here. So what are your most, what did you get compliments on the most? What personality traits do you bring to the job search? What specific skills do you have? What makes you unique? Or finish the sentence, an organization would be fortunate to have me join them because. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, let's do some sharing, and you can finish this exercise at home because this is the start of your brand. Somebody share something that was a new insight for them. Not one you maybe walked in the door with, but a new insight. Who would like to share? Kind of raise your hand if you had a new insight. Yes?
Yeah, so I've actually just managed to articulate this in a one-word sentence, is that I've known I've had both this personality trait and skill, I see solutions to problems that companies don't even know they have.
Amen. Good. Great. Who else? Who else? Yes.
I'm able to vary my communication style based on a variety of different audiences, from 4 years old to people with PhDs.
Very good. That's a valuable trait, a valuable skill. Who else? One more. Yes.
Adaptability. I've been in 3 different industries, but it's a way of life. Seeing as I'm a military brat, and then with my career, I've moved 36 times in my life. So I've always listened, learned, and figured it out.
Great. And again, that's adaptability is a key strength that you bring in and you need to shine with. So if this exercise is a little hard for you, there's obviously some help out there, and we'll talk about that. But this is kind of the process you go through to develop that personal brand that we talked about, so that you can walk in a unique job seeker and not just a generic job seeker, and so you can distinguish yourself through the process. Because what I've found, and we do surveys of job seekers, 50% of my job seekers they're either in some fog or unclear to some degree about the value that they bring and offer to a company. And therefore that makes them in a fog or unclear about their next career move. So the power of finding a job that's a good fit for you. So we've got these scales of 0 to 10, and the first one is talents. So what are your skills? What are your hard skills? What are those things that you can do? And then the next one is kind of a job that fits you. Your passion, your purpose, it fits your God-given personality and gifting and wiring and so forth. And let's say that you, on the talents level, that you found a job that is within, like using 70% of your hard skills or your skills or talents related things. But the fit is only a 3. And so you're left with so much unfulfilled potential. And we all, if we were to ask ourselves what's our goal, is we want to live life to its full potential. We want a job that uses my full potential. And so really you need to find that job that's a good fit for you, that maximizes your skills in order to really maximize your potential. So that's just a good reminder. So this is that slide that every presenter puts in to get your attention. So how would you like to know how you could get another $6,000 to $8,000 this year in 2019? I think we all want that, right? Well, the lead up to that is, scuba diving, it's a team sport, right? You're not supposed to go, one of the rules, you're a scuba diver, you're not supposed to go scuba diving alone, right? Same with mountain climbing. You're not supposed to go alone, right? Well, looking for a job, you're not supposed to do it alone. And I'm so glad that you're here at Launchpad, because you're saying, I'm not going to do this alone. I'm going to do this with other people. But you could still come to this meeting and be alone. And so, you need to join that Leap to Success. You need to join Toastmasters. I'm here in part because I took Toastmasters in the 90s, and I'm a certified Toastmaster, and I overcame a fear of speaking. And so join that Toastmasters club that Launchpad has, because that's going to, again, one of those things that's going to help you gain confidence when you're presenting. It's got table talks where it's impromptu speaking, and that's what an interview is. It's a bunch of impromptu speaking. And so, join that. And so, accountability. Studies have found that job search team members found jobs 20% faster than non-team members. So, find that team here, find that team somewhere, and whether it's like on your team of Leap to Success or Toastmasters or whatever, find that team of people that you're going through this job search with. And so all the job clubs are a good place to find that. But basically it's saying 20% faster, so a 5-month search becomes a 4-month search, and that's 1 month's pay or 2 months' pay, is your $6,000 to $8,000. And so that's where the study comes with, you could be that much richer in 2019 if you're not doing this alone. There's also a stat that says you're 8 times more likely to achieve a goal if you have a plan and you have accountability against that goal. 8 times more likely. And so that's the other teaser here are those two stats. So, and accountability is not necessarily like somebody that kind of makes you feel bad for not doing something. It's that sounding board. I remember when I first came to Austin, my boss asked me to run the Capital 10,000. I was a tennis player, so I was used to, I could beat anybody in a 10-foot dash. But 6 miles was a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I started training on my treadmill. It was kind of winter, so I didn't want to go outside. And a couple of weeks before the race, I said, well, I should probably hit the pavement. Boy, was that different, right? The treadmill helps your feet go forward, and the pavement's hard. And I was a total disaster. I didn't have time to recoup. And so I just got to the race day, and I showed up my boss, and he actually wants to run with me. So we just run, and at the end, I'd noticed, wow, that was a lot easier than it was the other day. We were even chalking during the thing, and what it was is I had a running buddy with me. I had a person pacing me. I had a person giving me encouragement just by being there. And so find that running partner, find that running group, and that's why they have running groups on Saturday morning to go out. You know, find that running partner, and you're here. This is a great start, but it needs to be more in what you're trying to do. So here is, just not to belabor the point, but here's kind of Susie. Susie's doing a job search by herself, and she is doing it alone. She sits at home, and she pounds away on the computer, applying to jobs online, and never really gets out. And she's feeling helpless and powerless. And then here's Billy. He's a little bit more empowered. He's got a game plan there. He's working through a list and checking it twice, and so he's feeling a little bit more empowered. But the people that are up in a group, a collaborative team or a job club or some type of group is better, is really the way that you build both confidence and your job search results are much better. There's an old saying by one of the, Solomon, who was known as one of the wisest men, who said, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If one falls down, a friend can help him up. You all need a friend that can help you up during that job search fall. You know, when you're going to get a lot of no's in the job search. I wasn't, in my job that I had, I was a finance guy. I didn't get a lot of no's. I gave the no's out to you can't raise your budget, but I didn't get a lot of no's. And this may be something new to you. If you're not in sales, welcome to sales, because sales gets you a lot of no's. In fact, stats say that you're going to have 25 no's before you get the yes. You're going to have 25 no's from hiring managers before you get that one yes. And so you need somebody to pick you up when you're down. And so I encourage you to do that. There's some other stats around how the brain works, and I'll just share a couple of these in kind of rapid fire, but happy, start the day happy. What the stats show is that how you start your workday determines the course of the rest of your day. So find stuff in the morning that gets you happy, gets you joyful, and find whatever that is. Creativity. This one is kind of scrub. That's the scrubber. Here, actually, the guy in the shower, actually rubber ducky shower. I didn't notice that before. Maybe I need a different picture. But it says that when you're relaxed, you're more creative. I have a friend that just got a hot tub and goes in the middle of the day into the hot tub because that's what relaxes them and brings them joy. And so they actually get a lot of creative work done in that hot tub. Some people go for a nature hike, go for a run. Whatever it is that relaxes you, studies show, research shows that there's a strong relationship between feeling relaxed and being creative. In fact, this professor at University of Pennsylvania said that 72% of people have new ideas in the shower. No worries. You need to close the loop on your worries. And what that means is, you know how you get those notifications on your phone that just won't stop? That's how your brain works. If you don't write down a plan on a worry or write that worry down and put a plan to it to address it, that's just going to keep rattling around in your head and distract you from doing real work. And so you need to kind of close that loop on anything that comes up that needs to get done. They say, basically, if anything takes less than 2 minutes to do, go ahead and choose to do that, and then move on. A lot of you may have 1,000 2-minute things to do, but that's what the studies say. The next one is break it down or own it. There's some things in the job search, like Kathy said, introverts going into a network meeting, whatever it is, you need to kind of own those things and say, hey, it's okay. This is the way I was made, and I'm going to deal with it. And so one way to think about that is think about the worst thing on your list that you hate to do, and do the next worst thing. Okay? And so in light of that worst thing, I'm happy to do this because I never want to work on this. Now you got to eventually build a plan to work on that top thing if it's something you hate to do, and it's really important. Obviously you want to work on the big rocks, but just think about psychologically doing that. And then have a did it list. We all have a to-do list, but do we keep a victory list? Do we keep that I did it list? So next to your to-do list, make that list of, hey, I did it. And then at the end of the week, you've got, the to-do crossed off, and maybe that did it, over there to the right to kind of visually get that done. And then, because it's important to keep your progress visible. And then forgiveness. That's one of the other things that we found is sometimes you get yourself into a situation where you need to forgive your old boss that let you go, or forgive the company, or forgive yourself for something that you've done. And there's power in forgiving yourself for doing something, or maybe your boss, or maybe a friend, outside of work, that's really weighing you down. So those are some things that keep people from being productive that I wanted to share. And then out of the #1 best-selling book of all time, there's 3 practices of true joy. And so one is that forgiveness idea of maintaining peace with others. So forgiving yourself and forgiving others. Expressing gratitude. Do you have a gratitude journal? Does anybody keep a gratitude? Okay, actually raise your hand high that you keep a gratitude journal. This is awesome. I'm really encouraged by this, and I'm motivated to restart my journal on gratitude. Because this is a time, again, when you're getting lots of no's, and you want to say some yeses. I want to say thank you. Thank you, this happened. And it can be the little things. Right now, you've got the wildflowers in season. That's on a gratitude list, right? And maybe it's a new friend you make at Launchpad, right? And maybe you can be that friend. Maybe you can be on somebody else's gratitude list. Come in this room every week wanting to be on somebody else's gratitude list. Wow. Will that change your perspective of this meeting? If you're going into this room every Friday looking to give a smile, giving a word of encouragement, giving that job lead or job reference or be that sounding board, hey, how you doing? And really listening after you ask that question. So many times we ask that question, how you doing? And we're always thinking, okay, how are we going to respond when they ask me how I'm doing? And not listening to the other person. So come in this room wanting to be a blessing to someone. And then build community. We've already talked about that so much that I don't need to belabor that. So don't do it alone. So any questions so far? I've got some more, and we've got some more time, but I wanted to just break and give you an opportunity to ask any questions. Anybody? Okay, let's keep going. So we talked about how the job search can be a roller coaster. Our first reaction, it's kind of interesting. There's been a lot of brain science done in the last 10 years. So visualize with me, just close your eyes for a second, and just think if a tiger came in this room. So a tiger, you open your eyes now, and a tiger is in the front of this room. Tell me what some of your responses are. Stay calm. Run. That's a flight response. Smile. Okay. Take a picture of it. Okay, it's not a friend. By the way, it's not a friendly tiger. Okay, it's in crouching. It's growling. What are you going to do? Get behind the guy next to me. Be faster than the person. Put your tennis shoes on. Right? That's the old joke.
Make peace with God.
Yeah, make peace with God. So there's the brain goes through this process, and there's you've heard it before. There's the fight response, the flight response, the freeze response, and the caregiver response. And automatically the brain, there's kind of two parts of the brain, and for lack of better words, I'm not a pro at this, but the fear part of the brain, there's the love part of the brain, which is very powerful, and there's the fear part of the brain, but it's kind of an on-off switch. When the fear part is on, it's harder for that love part to be on. Okay? And so that's why we need to deal with our fears. And so, dealing with, just the fear of, am I ever going to get a job? And some of those thought processes. So let's talk about some of those thought processes, because we start asking ourselves the questions, and some of them can be rephrased a little bit better, but some of the wrong questions: when am I going to catch a break? Why is this happening to me? When is the economy going to go right? And so there's some other ones here that can lead to bad thinking, like procrastination. When is this company going to see my value? When is the company going to see my value? How would you turn that around? To ask kind of a more positive, how can I show the company my value? Okay, when am I going to catch a break? What's a better way of saying that? Who can I reach out to? I've got one for you on this one. Losing your job can be the best thing that ever happened to you. We use that on Monday morning. Losing your job can be the best thing that ever happened to you. And I don't know what that is for you, but we had a guy named James. I think he came through Launchpad too. And James lost actually 2 part-time jobs at the same time. And he was having breakfast, and he used to not see his family, basically. And breakfast, lunch, dinner, he never saw him. Well, he was having breakfast with his daughter while he was unemployed, and his daughter said, "Man, I'm really enjoying my time with you, Dad. I'm really loving this. I'm really glad you lost your job." And, it's like, but we can't afford that soccer camp you wanted to go to. She goes, "That's fine. I'm just enjoying you." And so over the next hour, they laughed and they cried and they reconnected, and he came to me and said, "Craig, if I had not lost my job and realized that I'd become a workaholic, I had lost my perspective. I had almost lost my family. So losing my job was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to connect with my family." And so I don't know what that is for you. I don't know if that's an aging parent. I don't know if that's a project that's been lingering. I don't know if that's a relationship with a spouse or with a family member, or maybe your own health that you've been neglecting. I don't know what it is for you, but this could be the best time of your life, and frequently is for the job seekers that really think about it that way. And then we can get into blaming others. Who's going to hire me? So what's the way to turn this around, this question? Who what? Who am I going to help? Yeah. Who am I going to help? Who am I going to find that needs the kind of help that I can do? I'm responsible for that. And instead of blaming others. And then victim thinking. Why is this happening to me? Why do they discriminate against 50-year-olds?
When I left my company, I turned it around and said I got one of the first lifeboats off the Titanic.
Yeah. She said, I got one of the first lifeboats off the Titanic, is what she said when she lost her job. We need to really look at how you're framing this and reframe your self-talk. So, why won't the recruiter call me back? Okay, and the better is, what's another way I can show my value to a recruiter so I can call them back? And then bad is, when is that company going to make a hiring decision? And better is, how can I improve my interviewing skills so that the decision for the company is easier? And so really be thinking about how and what can you do something and take responsibility and don't take the blame game. It's easy to fall in that, and I've done it myself in situations, and I know that's something I need to guard against myself. And so I thought I'd share that with y'all to kind of be thinking about. And that's why I was actually at a group the other night of guys, and I said something, and they said, that sounds like, kind of self-limiting talk. You're kind of wishing something bad on yourself because of this. And so I realized that I'd kind of gotten in this mode in this one particular thing to really talk negative to myself versus talking positive to myself. So I know Monday morning, I know here, if I look around, some of y'all are maybe even older than I am. Can you believe that? And so I know that age is sometimes an issue. And so, just taking a look at that, I've done a little bit of research on that. And some people would say you need to embrace the age talk and turn it into something. How could you turn your age into a positive instead of a negative? Experience, yeah, sure. But be specific about that experience and have a story to tell about that experience, right? Just don't say, I've got that experience, but, have those stories ready of how you've turned things around. And focus on your stability. It's known that older generation is more stable, in their life patterns and, not going to jump at the first passing greener field. And so really talk about kind of the future that you're seeing with the company and the stability that you can provide there. And basically not talk about your age. Show that you're pitch your skills, not your past. So make sure that you kind of refresh. That's why, you've got consultingsolutions.net where you can go get a certification and training and keep your skills up. And so take advantage of these opportunities because nowadays, more than ever, people are looking at what can you do for me today, to help my company succeed. That's what the interviewing managers are looking for. And so you need to be pitching your skills and not, all these grand stories. Man, I over the years, I've met some people that have done, Kathy, you're with me. You guys are amazing what you have done in your past careers. You're amazing. But it doesn't matter as much as what can you do now in the future. That's what people are looking for. What can you do for me now? And so don't dwell on your past glories. Dwell on what can you do in the future. What skills do you bring? Get those skills updated with somebody like Consulting Solutions. Show you're a lifetime learner and that you're always learning new stuff. That's another way to combat kind of this ageism thing that we have going on. And then don't be afraid to talk money. Do your research. Know what your market value is. And then here's some, we've talked about these, but again, it's just kind of a visualization. I wanted to kind of wrap it up here. Talk positively to yourself. You see that's kind of a kitty cat looking in a mirror that's a lion. And so that's a good visualization for me to really remember about how important it is for the self-talk and not getting myself asking those bad questions, but asking the good questions. Setting goals and accountability, practice visualization. And so that one's obviously all about, well, I mean, it's kind of there, but you just kind of visualize. I know a person that goes through each day and kind of prays through each appointment or thinks through each appointment and how each appointment or meeting is going to go and what the success looks like in that meeting and thinking about that. And then use simulations. So this afternoon, you've got, you know, they just put that Army Futures Command here, and I know that nowadays they're training a lot of tank commanders on video games, right? And so they're using visualizations. And so this afternoon, y'all have got an opportunity to do mock interviews this afternoon. And so that's a simulation, and that's where, you know, there's nothing like it. Job seekers come to me over the years and say, I'm ready for an interview, I'm ready. And then I ask them one question, and it kind of falls apart. And they say, oh, I guess I'm not ready. So don't wait till you get the interview. Go this afternoon and come back other Fridays to get that extra training to make sure that you are ready for what you want to have offer there. Yeah.
Where is that training?
It's this afternoon, and it's over at the Consulting Solutions office, which is off of La Posada in suite number 160. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it starts at 2 o'clock, and they'll take people who have actually an interview lined up first, and then you can kind of watch. It's kind of a group. It's a group event, so you can learn so much by somebody else not doing great or doing well, right? It's called the what? La Costa Building. Yeah. So 2 o'clock, La Posada, La Costa Building. Okay?
Thank you.